Driven by Dickens.
Where's the Jackson?
I'll tell you what's going on. So what's going on is days before his runoff victory, then mayoral candidate Brandon Johnson paid off more than $3,000 in outstanding water and sewer bills to the city that raised questions about his personal finances, and it might have prevented him from taking office because you cannot owe city funds when you're running or elected to a public office. So now the mayor is offering a helping hand to Chicagoans soaked by sky high water bills through no fault of their own. The city council's finance committee on Monday unanimously approved the mayor's 2-year plan to offer nearly $2.4 million in financial relief to homeowners and business owners drowning in water bills tied to leaks in underground service lines repaired on or after January 1st, 2023. The measure could be passed by the full council next week. A press release from Johnson's office included a quote from the mayor rationale and making veiled reference to his own situation. And I quote directly from the mayor. I know what it's like to grow up in a household where the ends don't always meet, and one unexpected bill can be devastating. I also know what it's like to have a high water bill hanging over your head, the mayor was quoted as saying. And I quote, this pilot program will provide financial relief to families that are hit with outrageously high bills due to underground leaks that are out of their control, end quote. Now, the program is open to residential customers who own single family homes, 2 or 3 flat units, and commercial property owners with water service lines of 1 inch or smaller. Eligible customers must own the property with the leak and apply for the break after the leak is confirmed and repaired by the Department of Water Management. Eligible property owners will then receive a credit to reduce the amount of the water bill during the leak to average amount of customers' bills without the leak. The 2-year program is open to all customers regardless of income, but there's a catch, of course. If the eligible customer has a past due balance, they must pay it in full or enroll in a payment plan. Now, the 2-year pilot is expected to cost the city $572,000 to administer and nearly $2.4 million in lost revenue. I don't think it should be considered lost revenue if they had a drip. You can't charge for something you had an error with.
That part.
But a presentation distributed to all the persons offered an example of how much the relief program will provide. So, in one instance, a woman owning a 3 flat building with an outdoor underground vault normally received bi-monthly bills in the $250 to $300 range. Instead, she got socked with a bi-monthly bill in March 2004 for $1,500. After scouring her building for leaks, broken pipes, and running toilets and finding none of the above, she called 311 and asked the water department to check for an outdoor leak. Sure enough, the city found a leak in the underground service line from the meter vault to her building. The line was replaced. City Hall then lowered her bill from $1,500 to $275, saving her $1,225. Now, Mayor Johnson apparently considered the relief program so critical, he introduced it directly to committee and pushed for passage on the very same day. The process of bypass introduction at a full council meeting is normally reserved for urgent matters. Now, City Comptroller Chas Redwinkle said the problem the city is trying to fix was raised by the finance committee members during his confirmation hearing. Redwinkle, and I'm sure I'm botching that name, recalled all the persons complained about underground leaks, and I quote, that cause bills to skyrocket, sometimes from $100 to $200 per cycle to $1,500, $3,000, even $10,000 biweekly bills people were receiving. This body pressed me to explain the fairness of these high bills, to explain why Chicagoans are forced to pay for a service they had not, in all honesty, requested, Redwinkle said Monday. You were right to press me in my office on this topic. The city provides water as a service to its residents. These residents had not, in good faith, requested this extra water, nor was it responsible to believe that they were aware of any leaks that could be causing their bill to increase. It was and remains a policy problem the city must answer for its residents. So the policy problem is this. If I'm a business owner and I'm just upping your bill because something broke in my business, the customer shouldn't be responsible for that. So city residents are responsible because the city pipes are leaking.
Well, it just like the city's lead content has either it increased or they're just finding out about how much lead is in the water. But the business owners in some industries, particularly childcare, have been made to pay
to rectify the situation.
Exactly. But they talk about in the article that you just exposed, they're talking about how usually committee is saved for urgent matters. This is an urgent matter. I mean, when you're talking,
well, that's why they pushed it. They said that he quoted that because he said this was of high importance to the mayor, and he moved it past the committee. So we want the believers to know that he thought this was really serious.
Well, I definitely applaud him for that. But everything that goes on that is injustice to city residents, people then reference but you did it for the migrants. But you did it for the migrants. So he was right to make sure that this was at the forefront of what committee topics would be and that they're rectifying it. So the takeaway here is a resolution that if you have an exorbitant water bill, that you definitely need to call the city so that you can get some relief. And that was exponential for that lady that could jump from $1,500 to $240.
Well,
because they will cut your water off and you will be waterless. And I'm telling you, I don't want to smell you when you waterless.
Oh my Lord. Well, you know what? I don't think anybody wants to smell anybody when they're waterless.
No.
I will say that and I'm glad you noted the migrant, because we're so quick to say what somebody is doing for the migrant community. But these type of things are not, I didn't see it on the news flashing this morning.
Nope.
So that's why we wanted to make sure that we talked about it and to bring it to the believers, because the mayor is doing something to try to help you. Now, it's an overarching problem that needs to be fixed, right? We shouldn't be waiting. First of all, I think as an entrepreneur, if I'm seeing a customer's bill jump from 200, and it's been 200 for years, to 1,500, 3,000, I think I'm gonna go out and investigate it myself, especially if I'm supplying. Because why did that jump just happen like that? No way you using that much water unless, well, the bad job I said, unless you just let all the migrants move in and they showering,
Exactly.
But that's something that should be on the radar. Just like when we talk about property taxes and, they're not being assessed properly. I think we need to create the legislation where these type of issues are not happening. We're being proactive, not reactive. Because after you pay $1,500 a month in water bills, or you don't pay and your water cut off, you're in a deeper hole, and you're down that rabbit hole that it's harder to get out of trouble than it is to get in trouble.
And might I suggest to the mayor and the alderman that we put a moratorium on cutting off people's water until we actually get to the bottom of the situation. Because like at the village, in suburban villages, particularly the village of Frankfurt, they have a monitoring system that if you're using more water than you usually use, they will send you not only put a note on your door, but if they have your email address, they'll send you an email and say there is a leak in your whatever, like if your toilet is running, so that you can actually go, or like say you have a pool or something, and say your pool has a leak and your water. What's so funny?
I was just cracking a joke. We ain't got no pools on the west side. But
no, I didn't say that about the west side. I said that about the southwest side. But a lot of villages that are outside of the city do the same thing. My point is that if they can do it and they have smaller budgets, smaller resident populations, then the city of Chicago should be able to mirror what they're doing.
That's true. And that lets you know how flawed the city system is, because it's a money grab, right? And you're getting paid, and because it said loss of revenue, but you can't lose revenue that you shouldn't have never had anyway because your pipes broke. So how you crying over, well, we're going to lose $2.4 billion in revenue, but that's illegal revenue.
But the problem is that we are not actually looking at our infrastructure in the scrutinizing way that we should, because I don't care how, it's just like your car. You got to take your car and you got to take your body in. You got to look at these things that are critical and germane to resident living. I mean, like creature comforts that you don't see.
Well, that's why you got to elect the right people. And I'm glad that Mayor Johnson understands, because he had a water bill. And those that have not been there or haven't been there so long that they've forgotten, then you don't advocate for small things like this. And he understands, because he almost They were trying to kick him out the race because of his $3,000 water bill.
And
But-
was that because of a leaking pipe that the city was
No, he
responsible
just
for?
needed
He
to
just
pay it.
didn't pay. Okay.
But that,
I'm
listen,
gonna leave that alone.
we-
And I'm gonna say we're gonna stay on a hot note right here with Mayor Johnson, because this
This
is
is good.
definitely critical, and it is good. So I applaud the entire city council for it. But you know what? We're gonna keep it moving right here on this Richard 1390, because it is Magically Delicious Monday, and we do have a wonderful guest that's going to continue to do exactly what we came to do, because it's always our aim to send you back better than you came. I'm done.
I'm like, what else?
Y'all,
What's
don't go
up?
nowhere. We got way more to share right here. This Richard 1390.
Can't be mad at the things you went through, because they built your muscle.
You had a nice Mother's Day?
I had the bomb Mother's Day.
Okay.
Thank you for my flowers.
You're welcome. And
I'm so excited about them.
I want you to look at that plant every time you see it.
Did you send me 2 plants?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because one is a plant, so you can keep that.
And one
The
is
flowers, don't last that
I
long.
was like, somebody sent me 2 flowers, 2 chains. Okay, what is our topic for our exclusive? Go get.
Oh, I know what the
Go
topic
get-
is.
Go get. your
All right.
blessing.
Facebook, Instagram. Can you hear me? Turn it down a little, Jarrell.
Oh, now you want to turn some things
Well,
down.
I always want to turn it down. You weren't here the other day. I said, Jarrell, I got so many UMG claims from the days I ain't hearing the music be up. And I'm like, and
How
I,
you get them?
because they email me my account.
Ah, good.
So
Keep on
listen.
doing that.
No, I'm like, Tammy be having it blasting. But nevertheless, the question is, yesterday was Mother's Day, and we celebrated all the beautiful women. If a man was dating a woman who had kids, should he have gotten her a Mother's Day gift?
Mm. Now, I did hear a comment that said, I didn't make her a mother. Why I got to get her a gift? I'm not going to say where I heard that comment from. But I think if you are dating a woman and she has kids and you are vested in this relationship, the best way to ruin it is don't get her something on Mother's Day. Because guess what? That's an important day. I don't care if it was made up to make a revenue for Hallmark or whomever. It has been historically the day that we salute mothers. And if you with a mother and you don't mother her, guess what? Mother.
Eval said nope. You said nope to that question?
What?
Oh, my goodness.
If that's the case, then you should get her a present on her ex-anniversary, too.
No, that ain't got
Oh, you
nothing.
went
You
way-
reaching. You reaching.
No, you
Hey,
read-
Donald Trump, you reaching.
Her ex and her anniversary is something that they created together. It's a bond that is important to them.
There's no
This
third party in
baby,
that,
this
though.
baby is something that they created together.
Eval
This
said, yes, Lady T,
dude
I agree.
made
She
her
agree
a
with you.
mama. They created a baby together. He got to get the Mother's
Well,
Day gift.
you're not
I
worried
gotta
about
get the
nobody else.
I got to get the Valentine's Day gift. He got to get the Mother's Day gift.
How long have you? What's your longest relationship you've ever had?
5 years.
5 years. Were they a mother? No.
Right. That
I
last.
bet your last
I
gift.
wouldn't seriously
That's
date
why
a
it
girl that
lasted.
got kids.
Oh, really?
That's a whole nother
I don't
question
have
of the
children,
day.
so,
What?
yeah.
Would you date a girl that has kids? Would you date a woman that has
Zoe
kids?
said flowers is
If you-
acceptable.
if I hit
If
you,
you are dating longer than 6 months. So if you're dating a girl longer than 6 months. So should it be a timeline? I think if you dating a woman and she got kids, you can send
Where
her.
did you get the 6 months, Zoe? I'm just asking.
Right.
I mean, like, how did you come up with 6
A
months?
serious present like jewelry and stuff? No, but flowers.
Let me
yes.
find out you got your girlfriend that got a kid something.
What you mean? If you, well,
But
so
you
Tanya
definitely
says-
can't do that.
Tanya says that if you are dating me and my son, they are a package
my
deal.
girl that got a kid
You hit-
asked me for some money.
you hear that,
Tanya
Jarrell?
said if
I
you-
say I gotta get my sister something, my mama something, my
Yeah,
grandma
no,
something.
that's
Which
weird.
one of them you want me to screw for you?
Yeah, no. No.
None of them. You
why
gotta
she asking
just
for
buy
money?
them all something.
Why is she asking for money not on Mother's Day?
So
She's
present
asking for
or
money.
get gone.
No.
Tanya said you get the present or you get gone.
I
Right.
agree with you
Now,
on that.
I'm
No
say
present
this.
don't get you no
I know
present.
Mother's Day,
No
you don't
present
get
get
a
you
present
out of
for
here.
us.
That's good, Tanya. What's up, William?
So Zach
What's up?
Boog talked about it was something similar. The guy he's dating a girl with a kid. He bought her gifts, but he took his baby mama, who he not with, out for lunch.
Right, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what I'm saying.
No,
You
the
supposed
heck
to
you
take your
ain't.
baby
You
mama
supposed
out
to-
for lunch?
It's
No,
Mother's
heck
Day.
no.
That's his argument.
It's Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just buy your baby mama the gifts. You take your woman out and you
But she,
I don't know
does that
what
other wo-
ethnicity are these
does,
people.
black.
does the other woman have
Look,
kids
what
too?
ethnicity crazy.
Does the other woman have kids too?
We got 40
Yeah.
40 seconds.
He took them both out.
No,
No,
he
he took
didn't.
the
He
baby
took. He
mama
went to church with his mama.
My
Then he
man
took
take
his
his
baby
if
mama
my
out.
man take his
Number
baby
one-
mama out, we got a
The
problem.
one that he's
Houston,
with.
we got a
Did
problem.
that
30
baby
seconds,
daddy
30 seconds
take?
in a row.
Did the baby daddy take her out? The one he's with.
I like that. It did the baby did.
Oh, that's a good question.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
But it
That
shouldn't
would
be
be his
no.
whole
If
argument.
you dating a woman with a kid, you buy the mama a mother to take it.
Yeah, I mean, but
You ain't gotta
obviously you
break
guys
the
aren't
bank.
together for a
Yeah.
reason.
Get
Now
some
you
candy
just
or
kicking it,
flowers.
y'all
10
just
seconds,
taking
10
each other out.
But you want her to continue to be a good mother, right?
Correct.
So you celebrate her on Mother's Day. What are we talking about? It's about the kids. We got 8 seconds.
I'm glad you ain't dating good Tanya. You be gone.
Out the door.
You might get slapped.
So a lot of people are talking about this issue, but not actually in public. And we're just going to rip the Band-Aid off and kick it off. Hopefully, this will spark some other conversations a little bit later after we've taken it to you. So Black businesses are struggling to thrive and fight against racial justice, and it makes it harder. So a new report from the Alliance for Entrepreneurial Equity finds that Black business owners still face barriers that keep them from thriving, such as lack of access to capital. We talk about this. We've been talking about this for the entire 7 years that we've been on the air. And unfortunately, we still have to have this conversation. So in 2024, the State of Black Business Report just released by the Alliance of Entrepreneurial Equity finds that Black entrepreneurs face persistent obstacles in getting access to capital, markets, and resources. For our nation's economic strength and resiliency, it's imperative to remove the systemic barriers and foster a more equitable ecosystem for entrepreneurs, Black or otherwise. But activists against racial justice, backed by dark money foundations, are intent on preserving racial inequity by tearing down programs and initiatives aimed at leveling the playing field. Well, the Alliance, a partnership of the National Urban League and Third Way, produced a report to arm the public, experts, advocates, and policymakers with current and comprehensive data on the state of Black businesses in America and underscore the urgency of advancing equity and equitable opportunities for Black communities and other communities of color, because it's not just Black,
Yeah.
but it is definitely impacting Black communities at exponential proportions. Well, between 2018 and 2021, the number of Black-owned businesses with at least 2 employees grew by 30%. But despite the fact that Black Americans make up more than 14% of the population, Black businesses account for only 2.5 of all national businesses. That is astounding. Well, Black businesses that are owned by Black people, of course, tend to be smaller and newer than other businesses. So about 3% have more than 20 employees, and 3 and 4 have fewer than 5 employees, where nearly half are less than 2 years old. When I say half, I mean half of those businesses are less than 2 years old. And in 2 and 3 years, less than 5 years old. In comparison, only 19% of white businesses are less than 2 years old. Well, the lack of access to capital is the major reason why Black Americans are less likely to own their own businesses and why their businesses remain small. Because every small business has the goal to become a large business.
Yeah.
I don't care where you are in the spectrum. Well, Black-owned businesses are denied financing far more than anyone else. And with 40% completely denied loans, lines of credit, and cash advances compared to only 18% of white-owned businesses. Only 32% of Black businesses are fully approved for financing that they seek, compared with 56 of white businesses. Those Black-owned businesses who are able to obtain financing from credit unions, banks, and online lenders are more likely than other businesses to be offered a higher interest rate. So even though you're getting the money, you're paying more money for the money. As a result, 53% of Black business owners have higher debt payments, 38% are forced to delay plans to expand their businesses, and 28% have a hard time refinancing their existing debt. Well, disparity in venture capital funding is even more dismal. And after a slight increase in VC funding That's venture capital funding directed to Black-owned businesses following the racial injustice uprising in 2020. The last 3 years have had a steady decline. Well, in 2023, only 0.5% of venture capital funding went to Black business founders. Maybe because we kind of got settled in the fact that the light was shown on more Black issues, more Black businesses, and more opportunities. That's it. But then you started to see them fade, and we didn't raise our voices like we did at the onset of it. So the promises of racial justice that America made in the wake of George Floyd's murder cannot be abandoned. The efforts to distort the nation's history of racial oppression and discrimination, the silencing of Black voices in classrooms, the dismantling of affirmative action and diversity, equity and inclusion policies are part of the coordinated campaign to preserve systemic inequity. And we are the only ones that can stop it.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm not shocked. And we know so many things, systemic racism, the disparities in funding, capital lending. And we got to do better at financial literacy and educating our people, because unfortunately, a lot of African Americans don't have good credit, don't understand credit. And that's something that we have to really change.
Now, you make a really good point, but these are targeted for those African Americans that do have sterling credit. They've had a history of good business. Now, when I say history, I don't mean a long history, because as Efra mentioned, it's only 2 years that these businesses have been in existence. But you have 2 years of business credit. You have 2 And when you go to jobs that don't look like you, you got to be on your best behavior. Like, you got to be there on time. And they are usually on time, like Death and Taxes. That's their mantra. We're going to be there at 7:00, and we're going to be there no matter what. Even if you're not there, they're going to be there. But if every now and again you drop the ball, that's going to be a sting against that business. It doesn't happen in white businesses. You can open up your Sally's at 10:15, even though you got a sign that says it's 10:00, and nobody will be angry about it, because they say, oh, you know what? That's outside of the norm. But for us, it is that's what Black businesses do. So we have to be up earlier, do more, achieve more, stay up later.
Gotta work 10 times harder.
Absolutely.
To still not get the same benefit.
And still not get the same pay. Because it's still a situation where a white man gets $1, a white woman gets 88 cents, and a Black woman gets 66 cents per dollar per hour. Like, literally, that has got to be bridged. But you know what? I think that all things can be achieved through prayer. And now that sounds kind of like, okay, but what else you gonna do? Work without deeds? Of course, it's dead. So you got to do your work, like you said. You got to get these credit scores up. You got to make sure there's the consistency is there, the drive is there, and you can do everything. You can give everything you got, but the only thing you can't give is up. You cannot give up, and we are definitely encouraging you to make sure that you keep push and pray until something happens. Y'all, we're going to keep you ignited here on the Brunch Bunch. We're going to keep you lifted, and we're going to keep you resourced up. In the meantime, we're going to keep you prayed up. Let's do it, y'all. It's Inspiration 1390. What's the next song?
Happy, you brought the sunshine. I was like, I thought you was going around the block to get there. You ain't know. What's up, Mika?
I have no
Happy
idea.
Mother's Day. Happy Monday. Tina said, literally trying to make $1 out of 15 cents.
Hey,
That is the
my
truth.
father is on. Hey, Roland, all the way from Brazil. What's going on?
So you call your father Roland?
Yes, I call my mother Jackie.
So no mommy, daddy?
No, 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 mommy, daddy. What'd you say?
I thought Jackie was your daughter.
Don't tell Jackie that.
Jackie is.
I
You
didn't
thought
know. You talking about Jackie all the time. I thought it was your daughter.
I say Modi all the time.
You talk about Jackie
I
too.
don't be knowing.
He just assumed Jackie was your daughter.
He don't buy his woman no gifts and she a mama. So,
Oh,
I mean,
my
what you
God.
say?
Oh my goodness, what's wrong with it? Mika, happy Monday. So the last 2 texts you gave me, I wasn't able to print real fast. Can you text them to Justice for me real quick?
Oh, so
Justice
the other
Walker.
piece, the other thing that we talked about, I mean, that we didn't talk about, which is what Andrea Coco said, is that the customer service in minority business, in particular Black business, have a background standard. And they always say, oh, you know what, that's Black business if the customer service wanes. But I've been to majority businesses, I'm not going to even name the names of them, but kept me from opening my downtown school for 6 months. 6 months.
White
Say
business.
some names.
Right.
Say some
Don't be
names.
scared. I thought you was a G.
I am a G.
Well, come on.
I can't think
Give
of
us an
I can't
exclusive.
think of the name. That school been there 25 years. I
They
can't
probably
think of
ain't
the
even there no more, right?
28 years, huh?
Some of them probably ain't even there no more. Are they?
It was a fire extinguisher company. They did all the fire
The sprinklers.
the sprinkler system. They did the fire extinguishing system, and so you had to have a whole bunch of architectural drawings and so forth. They took their time. I was like, I thought y'all had 200 years advantage on us for business, because like me not opening up, that is just not an option. But yeah.
Well, we
Hey, Louis Jim. Soulful has Mariah said Soulful got great customer service. Slide.
yes.
That's right. Slide through 1508.
I think though
West
now
18th
though,
Street.
I think
What's up,
businesses now are
Telly-O?
coming open with a different standard. I think the mom and pop
My
stores that we were used to
Even
in the
though I'm an
community,
AK. I
they
love
didn't.
you.
But these new Black businesses that are popping up, I'm seeing better and better customer service. I'm seeing better renovations.
And
they
on
not just
time opening and closing.
Yep.
Like if you have those hours on your door, you need to be there 10 minutes before.
But that comes from systemic racism, right? That comes from lack of access to capital. So in our communities, all we could open up was a mom and pop shop, or if we open a restaurant, we got to get whatever tables we can get. They don't match. The chairs don't match because you don't have the capital to go out and do these extravagant things. And then it just becomes a cycle. Your kids inherit the business. They not doing nothing because they like, well, for 50 years, this
been working.
hot dog place been open, and we ain't got to do nothing different.
No, those are all facts. Those are all facts. If you had better access to capital, you would definitely have better equipment.
Because I went in
imports. What's going on?
I went into Ooh It Is on 83rd.
Yes.
And I knew the owner, so he was like, pull up. He met me, he set me down, and the young lady who was going to be my waitress, my first thought was, oh, she going to get on my nerves.
Why?
Because she took too long to bring me some water. And I'm like, because I'm rushing, I got all day. And first of all, I don't go on 83rd often, so I want to eat, get up out of here. But you know what? It turned out to be the best service.
See, you know what?
That
Also,
I had.
we have, like you said, customer service. We have a preconceived notion about Black business and customer service, even from Black people.
Because I assume young Black girl, she took too long initially to start with my water. I'm like, this is about to be bad service. I say, all this nice compliments I'm giving about the place, looking good. I'm like, she finna ruin it because of bad service. So I was
he had no reason to say that, right? But systemically, he's been conditioned.
I understand when the water doesn't come right away. I'm like, man, this is gonna take
something is wrong with the tools he used. Like,
no, but because you expect good service, but I am preconditioned, and that's the unfortunate part.
I think that's just American culture too.
Yeah, because if I was at a white restaurant, I want my water right away too.
I think that's just American culture. We want it.
Right.
You're right. It is American because in Paris, they slow drag it.
Yeah.
You want some water? Just
go find yourself.
Go to the river.
Do this and keep swallowing for a minute till I get to you.
Exactly.
Hey,
Joe
Charmaine, Tina,
Colosso,
Deborah,
Donna, what's
Eval.
up, Modi?
Gotta be on point.
Listen, Who It Is was really nice.
Yeah, I've heard very good things about who it is, but I think that as people are starting to get more literate about economics,
Yes.
people are starting to do and be able to get more things that they couldn't get before.
Yep.
And that's educated too.
I was about to say
You
access
can't
to
get
education.
Yes.
You're rocking with the brunch bunch.
right here on Inspiration 1390. And this is your girl Tamara Fair on the air. And I am unproudly posted in the studio with no action.
I don't know why you're proud. It's your day. I played Ladies Run the World today after Mother's Day. I was waiting on you to lead. You lead, I follow.
Yeah, okay. Well, let me lead you to the water. And the water is that we got none other than the guru herself, Miss Mika Saunders, in the building once again. And it is graduation and wedding season approaching. And it's the perfect time to talk about major life events that affect your need for life insurance. And we're going to talk about it. Ain't nobody going to stop us from talking about it. Where I get that from? Set it off.
Oh, okay. I'm saying I don't
about
watch
to
movies.
Set it off. Yes. Anyway, welcome back, guys.
Listen, I just wanted the believers to know Mika, we call her Money Mika here on the Brunch Bunch, is a national sales director leading one of the largest financial service teams in the country. And you want to grab your pen, your paper, call your friends and your frenemies and tell them to tune in because Mika is about to drop some knowledge. Welcome, Mika. Woo, woo, woo. Well, happy Mother's Day, because you are a mother.
Thank you.
Of two beautiful young ladies. And how was your Mother's Day?
It was good. I cannot complain.
Oh, I did see your rant, though. I did read it in the middle of the night. It was long. I had to hold the screen so it wouldn't go away.
Long
Right. Long.
We almost did not eat, but we figured it out.
Well,
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what it's all about, figuring it out. Because a lot of times people think, well, I can't get life insurance, I can't afford it, but they have telephone insurance. So if you have one, you should have the other. And if you had to choose between the two, guess what? You should choose life insurance.
Exactly. I agree.
Now, why is that so important, though, Mika?
Life insurance is just important all around, especially when it comes to the Black community, because we are usually uninsured or underinsured. And so making sure that we have some life insurance to be able to pass down that generational wealth is so important. I think oftentimes we talk about what we don't have, but all of us have the opportunity right now to make sure that we set our families up. Right. So right now during this season, we're really talking a lot about graduation. It's wedding season. And so today I want to talk about a few of those topics because it's very important to make sure that you have life insurance in some of those situations. So.
Well, can we jump forward and then go backwards for a second?
Okay, yeah.
Mainly because we were talking about entrepreneurs and Black entrepreneurs that have less access to capital than our white counterparts. And so I see that you have a key man policy that you want to talk about. Now, why is a key man policy so important, and particularly in minority businesses?
Yes, it's so important because especially during this time, we are starting businesses, we are, partnering with people, but we don't think about what if that person that I'm partnering with passes away? Like, what if they are gone and we don't have their capital anymore? We don't have their support anymore, even if they're not bringing in money, but they're bringing into a lot of support to the business, right? Managing the business, the day to day. We need to make sure we have a key man policy on that person, which means that I have a policy on my business partner. So if they were to pass away, now that money pays out to me so that I can keep the business going.
And what about if you're not in a partnership and it's just you're your key man and you're kind of like wearing several different hats? Why is that key man policy so important in that scenario?
Oh yeah, it's even more important at that point, because then if you don't have a policy on yourself that's going to protect the business, you pass away, then the business stops.
Yes.
Right? We want the business to continue on. And so that may be a business that you're building to make sure you pass down to your children. And so in that case, you want to make sure your kids have that policy to make sure they can keep the day-to-day going. Or even bring in someone that can replace you upon your death. So.
I've never heard of that.
I
never heard of a key man policy, which is very interesting, right?
Well, you know what? It's really up to your insurance agent to explain to you as a business owner what you need, not what you want, but what you need. We talk about liability insurance. If something happens on your premises, you want to be able to cover that. But we seldom think when we're young and we're opening up these businesses that you may fall. and you may
Mhm.
not be able to go to work. Well, that key man policy kicks in and it provides revenue to continue the business even in your absence.
Yes. So important. And oftentimes, guys, people don't think about their death at all.
Yeah.
No.
It's something that people just don't want to think about. So especially in something like starting a business, you're not thinking, okay, what if I pass away? Like, what do I
Right.
do then? That's like not what you're thinking about. So, I understand. So it's something that we have to make sure we educate people on more.
Well, and I'm glad you said that. So Tamara wanted to come forward, then we'll go back. I want to go back to what you started out with,
We'll jump around.
because that's interesting though. Because when you talk about major life events and you talking insurance, life insurance, can you share with us the importance of life insurance, especially during major life events like graduation, marriage, and starting a family? When I'm thinking of graduation, I don't correlate life insurance. When I think about
Exactly.
getting married, which you should be thinking about life insurance, but a lot of people are so focused on planning this big day and party that these things are not the focal point.
And to your point, there have been times where people are on their way to the altar and pass away in a car accident. And if you didn't have the life insurance prior to, then there's a bigger issue.
Yeah, huge issue. And we can start there. We can start with, the happy moment of your life of getting married, finding
For
your
some
loved
people.
one. For most, right? And now we have to stop and we have to talk about things like life insurance and prenups and things like that. People don't want to talk about those things, right?
Right.
But when it comes to getting married, guess what? Now you are partnered with someone else. And usually you are paying bills together. You are getting a home together. You are doing all of these big purchases together on two different incomes. And so I want you all to think about life insurance as income replacement. Right. So anytime there's going to be a shift in your income, whether that be up or down, there needs to be a shift in your life insurance as well. And so if I get married now, we have all of these additional assets that we're bringing on together. We need to then increase our policies, but also we need to make sure that our spouse is the beneficiary of that policy. Do you know that we've had people who have passed away, that we've heard about this, people pass away and they still have their ex-wife or ex-husband as the beneficiary on their policy?
Because
And
they
guess
never
what? There's
changed it.
nothing you can do about
Nothing
it.
you can do about it at that point.
Do you know how angry that current wife or current spouse, whatever it is, legal or whatever, is? If I'm that person,
Yes.
man.
Yes. So if that is you and you are listening, go
Yes.
check your policy right now and make sure the beneficiaries are updated. Very important.
So let's
How often should people be updating their beneficiaries, since we own that? How often?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I think we should think about it every time we have a life change, right? So if we have, let's say, for example, when you have young kids, we don't like to put kids on as the beneficiary, right? I have a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old. They're not my beneficiaries. But once they become 18, I may want to adjust one of my policies and make them the beneficiaries, right?
Oh,
And
I
so-
hear your husband listening now. Like, what you say? What did you talk about?
He's the beneficiary. But, you have multiple policies, and then I may want one just for my kids, right?
Right.
And so you want to just make sure you do that at that time. But also, if you have a trust, then you don't ever have to update your beneficiaries. All you have to do is adjust your trust. So it really depends on the dynamics of the family and the family setup.
Well, one of our listeners, Andre Coco, says, while we're talking about life insurance, which he definitely appreciates, what about barrier insurance?
Okay, so let's talk about burial insurance. So burial insurance is good if that's all you can get. Okay, I am really big on generational policies where you can truly leave a nice lump sum behind to your families. We were taught to only get a burial policy, which burial policies are typically like 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 in coverage. But we want to make sure that we continue to educate people that life insurance is not just about death, right? It's about making sure that the family that we leave behind continue to live. Right. And so now burial policies, if you can only get that because now you're so old, you maybe have illnesses and you can't really get anything else. We understand that. But if you are young, you are healthy, you are in a situation where you can still get a regular policy that you can leave hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars behind, then we want you to do that.
Yeah, that makes perfectly good sense. But you know what? A lot of times we think that this GoFundMe is the best way to bury someone. And, as believers, we believe that we have to leave a legacy. And I asked my financial planner, what is the best way? What do other ethnic groups do in order to garner and create wealth, long-lasting wealth? And the first thing he said was insurance policies.
Yep.
Yep.
That is it. And we think of it as taboo. Oh, don't talk about life insurance. Oh, I don't want to think about that. No,
Because it's indicative of your death.
yeah, but
it's coming.
It's coming. One thing we know is that we're gonna die.
Yes.
That's one thing we all know is gonna happen, and so we may as well prepare for it. Right? We may as well make sure we don't leave our people grieving and
you don't tell me
at
what
the
to
same
do.
time.
Yes, I do.
So how does life insurance play a role in protecting families and individual times of financial needs, such as taking out student loans, buying a home, etc.?
Yeah. So more so when it comes to taking out student loans, we know that we have different types of student loans that we take out when we're going to college, whether that be federal student loans or private student loans. Most times with federal student loans, then that debt does die with the person. But we know that sometimes we had to go ahead and put in some private loans in there too to make ends meet when it came to going to college, right? And so those private loans don't typically die with the person. They typically go to the co-signer upon someone's death. Or they just continue on and now someone else has to go ahead and pay that off from the estate. And so we want to make sure that, again, if anything changes when it comes to your finances, you need to be looking at your life insurance policy and your plan to make sure that everything is set up properly. So any big change in your life, you want to look at your policy to make sure.
That makes sense. That makes perfectly good sense.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's so many, but I do want to. Tina Hammond said, back to the key man policy. This was so funny. You better make sure your key man has integrity, right? But I think you got to make sure anybody you got insurance or your beneficiary got integrity. I don't know if you don't watch Lifetime, but a lot of women kill husbands and husbands kill wives for insurance policy. But the goal is not to think like that, right? Just to make sure you're protecting yourselves.
That's real.
And your family.
I'm sorry, that's real.
Well, it is real. Like I upped our policy,
like,
baby. Oh, what happened to Marcel? I didn't mean to tell you I upped it. Now I'm gone, but no, to the upper room. I done upped the policy to get to the upper room. No, but no, there's some great information, and you are tying things together that we just really don't think about, right? And you just made me think. I got a policy, and my nephew was on it, but that was before I had kids and before I had a partner, and it's like, you know,
life changes.
Yeah, life changes.
You got to change your policy,
and you don't think about that. So we have to really be cognizant of that. But one of the other things we're talking about long term, right? Investing, because Tammy and I talked about before you joined us. You know, business owners not having access to capital. But when we get this capital, understanding what to do with it, right? Because school didn't teach us financial literacy and how to invest in different avenues to grow our money. But that's something that you're helping people to do. Can you talk about that?
We are. And before I hit on that topic, I do want to make sure I hit one more thing on the life insurance side. And that was making sure that you have a contingent beneficiary. If you currently have a policy right now, I want you to make sure that you check that policy and you have a contingent beneficiary. What does this mean? This means that something happens to the primary beneficiary, then it falls to the contingent. Okay. Sometimes the person that is insured and the person that is the primary beneficiary, what if they pass away at the same time in some kind of accident? Right. We need to make sure that someone still can go ahead and take the proceeds from that policy as opposed to it just going to the estate. So making sure that you have a contingent beneficiary or a secondary beneficiary is very important.
Yeah.
All right.
Their life be life too.
Yes.
And we definitely have to pre-plan, and then adjust the plan.
Yes, exactly.
So we don't necessarily think about life insurance when we're talking about taking out student loans either. But how does life insurance fit and tie into student loan acquisition?
Yeah. So like I said, like it's just making sure that as you have a student loan, you have a private student loan, you want to make sure that you have enough coverage to make sure that if something were to happen to you, that private loan that does not fall to the co-signer. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that you have enough coverage. Anytime anything financially changes in your life, you want to make sure you adjust your life insurance. All right. And so now to hit on the investment side of things, because that's definitely one of our specialties as well. Whether you are in business, whether you have a job, whatever the situation, we always want to make sure that you have a foundation set, right? Because even if you are a business owner, you are an entrepreneur, you still want to make sure that foundation is really, really strong to build upon, right? So life insurance is part of that foundation, but do you have an emergency fund, right? Do you have an emergency fund? So these are questions you want to be asking yourself. Do I have 3 to 6 months of income set aside so that if something were to happen, if I can't go to work for whatever reason, that I have money to still pay my bills, that I still can get by for 3 to 6 months while I'm looking for another job, right? Do you have a retirement plan? Especially if you are an entrepreneur, do you have a retirement plan?
Especially.
Because this is not something that entrepreneurs think about. Usually, they don't think about the retirement planning because you don't have a job, because you get a 401k on the job. But now you are in control of all of that as an entrepreneur. And so do you have a Roth IRA, a SEP IRA? Like, do you have your plan set in place? Because we know for sure, even though as entrepreneurs, we may think that we're going to want to work forever, we may not be able to, right? And so when you are 59 and a half, 60, can you go ahead and make sure that you can still live life the way you live life now? And then on top of that, we also have another account that we set up. So we have 3 fundamental buckets. That third one is going to be a situational account. That basically just means whatever your situation is, right? For me and for a lot of people around my age, their situation is we have children. We have kids who are going to want to go to college or start a business at some point. And so we want to make sure we set up that educational fund. So we do college funds. We also do UPMAs or UGMAs for kids to make sure that they can start to save in their name and kind of get in that habit so they're set up. My baby started to invest at 1 month.
Oh, wow.
That's
so she was investing at 1 month. So just think about how far ahead she'll be at 21 than where I was.
Absolutely.
Right? So we want to set up the next generation the right way. And so very important. And then finally, the retirement planning when you are at retirement age. When you get to those 50s, this is the perfect time to make sure that you start planning for retirement, because the cycle kind of goes in 10-year cycles. And so every 10 years, the market's going to kind of change up or down, up or down. And so when you're around 50, we should start planning to make sure that we can go ahead and exit you from that career and you don't lose all of your money in the market. And so we educate
and that your money outlives you.
Exactly.
Yes. Now you've got a situation and events coming up where we can get even more educated about what to do now for your next. So let's talk about this event. It's on May the 15th. It's Wine and Wealth. It's in the Pilsen area. Let's do it.
Yeah, so Wine and Wealth, y'all, it's happening again. It's every single month. This month is going to be May 15th. Very soon it'll be every week, but for now, still every month. May 15th, we will give you the address, but all we want you to do is text this number to get the location. It is going to be in the Pilsen area. So the phone number is 815-227-6772. I want you to text money to that number in order to get the information for this event. Text money to 815-227-6772 if you would like to come to the Wine and Wealth and learn more about these concepts that we're teaching today.
And this is pretty exclusive too, because now you could have held all of this information that you've learned over your career, and you could have done it for just you and your family. But the fact that you are educating the communities in and around, not just Chicago, but around the country, is exactly what we need. So that's 815-227-6772, 815-227-6772. You got to be very specific about what you're doing here in order to get into this exclusive event. You got to text money to that number, 815-227-6772.
Listen, if you know, like me, you want to be in that room. And what Money Mika didn't talk about is not only is she helping you level up financially for you and your family, if anybody's interested in joining her team, they're hiring, and they have some work from home positions open. So come out to the event to learn more about that. That's this Wednesday, the day after my birthday, May the 15th. Did you like that shameless plug?
I did like that shameless plug. And definitely there's a holiday. You definitely want to spend this holiday at Wine and Wealth, though.
Yeah.
So that you all definitely go ahead and text money, because that's what you'll be getting into. In the meantime, we're getting into our cars, so it's time to get up out of here. So
at the end of the day, the day got to end.
The day got to end. We always want to encourage you to keep Love 24 alive. Tell someone that you don't know that you love them, and show someone that you do know how much you love them by texting that number and that message. Action Jackson, I love you.
Tamara Fair on the air, I love you. Believers, we love you. Baby Eminem, we love you
too. Up next is AC Green, and right after that is Pastor Patterson on the drive home. We do it all night long right here at Inspiration 1390. Y'all stay optimistic.
Tammy must have had a good Mother's Day. This is like your fourth zone out.
I didn't zone out.
Wait, Jarrell, don't make it worse. Why you know when you add that up, sound make it worse. You zoned out in the beginning. You
Cause
zoned.
I thought since I was late, you was gonna leave.
No, you're the boss. I follow your lead.
Oh, I'm the boss now. He is killing me.
You know what?
Tanya, can you please stop?
Put
Miss
this up
Newberry,
for tomorrow.
Miss Newberry is on. Hey, my African queen, Miss Namberry.
Oh, my sister.
Yes. Hello, Brandy. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you all know that Marcel is cuckoo, right? So just ignore all of that. To my zoning. Exactly. Tanya, hit him up. Hit him up and do what you do.
Jarrell,
All
you
right,
never
y'all.
give
Thank you so much for
sound
tuning in.
like
We
that.
truly do appreciate
That makes
you.
everything
Hopefully
worse.
you have a wonderful, magically delicious
You the
Sunday.
whoa.
We'll see you on Tuesday.
Inspiration 1390. WTRB Chicago.
Did you
1390 has your chance to win $1,000.
take my phone off?